So I'm struggling to get things done a little bit today because I took the regular sleep stuff last night plus one Zopicone, unlike the morning before where I took 4, which was a little much, but I took 2 and it didn't do anything. I took 2 more and then I fell asleep all day. I was awake for a few hours and then I went back to sleep at night. But today I'm doing laundry and I'm supposed to be packing to go because tomorrow I work and then Saturday I leave, and my brain just kind of isn't working. And I feel really kind of conflicted about a few different things at the same time, which makes it hard for my brain to work. So I'm going to take a tyrosine, which I don't usually take, but that's supposed to help with dopamine, which dopamine is kind of the doer. And I need to do some things today. I can't not do things. So I'm wondering if that will help. But it could mess up my sleep even more, but my sleep's already kind of messed up, so I don't know. We'll see. And yeah, so I'm going to take that now, and then I'm going to return that Cardia device because it was $130, and I think it's mostly for people who have like atrial defibrillation and things like that, and it's not that useful for me. So I'm going to return that and maybe go and get a smoothie or something and see if I can get a prescription refill. Maybe see if they'll give me more Zopicone in case I need it. And yeah, I'm feeling a little conflicted about leaving. It all feels really strange right now. I'll report back after I take the tyrosine. Whew. I'm not walking and I feel a little bit out of breath. These last couple of days have been a blur. I really don't even know how to start talking about it. And I did talk with myself about it a little bit during the time, and I didn't watch that, so I don't really know what I said. But something else I remember that I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about was that when I was falling asleep and things were feeling all wavy and wonky, and I turned over and laid in the fetal position, I remember seeing kind of vividly a friend of mine, like their face, smiling. And I was smiling too. And I was like mirroring their smile, a friend from California. And then at some point today, I remembered that. And I also remembered at some point later on today that before it started happening in October of last year, I saw a different friend of mine from California. And I felt that same kind of love and happy energy. But then it turned into all this scary stuff eventually, like feeling like I need to kill myself. And I was just taking more meds, hoping that I would fall asleep, not trying to kill myself, but also realizing that the gesture I was doing, taking more meds, could eventually kill me, but I was trying to make myself fall asleep. And it was so bizarre. After that, the first part that was bizarre was my heart. It literally felt like there was this circle of energy, because I was laying on this side, on the left side, and that, I think that's where the heart kind of points towards, and it was just a circle of energy. Felt like I was like rocketing into space, like I was nothing and like everything was complete emptiness. And I could feel my breathing. And I've felt it before when that's happened in scarier times. It felt like at some point my breathing stops and I die or something. Like I felt different experiences of physical death during that. But this time there was no sensation of I'm going to stop breathing. I just kept breathing. And then it eventually stopped when I sort of scratched my face and knew that I was still there. And then when I couldn't sleep after that, I got up and just took a couple more supplements. And then that's when, I don't even know this part, I was laying down and I was sleeping. Like I was in sleep, but I was fully, there was an element of me that was fully awake. And it didn't take long before I realized that I felt like I'd literally just laid down and I watched myself sleep. Like I could kind of feel my face. I could sense my face and how I was breathing and my mouth moving a little bit when sleeping and the rhythmic breathing. But then there was this element there that was just wide awake watching that. And it didn't take long before I realized that I was sleeping, and then I was consciously watching myself sleeping for a while. And then it didn't take long before I was like, well, this is weird. I just want to get up and like make it so I actually go to sleep. And that's when there was this weird waking up thing of like, I heard something say to me, kind of my own voice, say, you've taken too many supplements, you need to medicate yourself. And it was quite clear. And then I kind of woke up, and it felt weird to wake up, but I was in a completely dark room, so I was awake, yet I was still in this completely black, empty space. So it took a second to orient myself. And then, I think I might have got up and taken 2 Seroquel, and I couldn't sleep still. And I started crying at some point. I was like, I just want to sleep. And then I realized, well, since I need to sleep, I'm not really experiencing like psychosis per se. Maybe if I take a sleeping pill, and I have Zopiclone. So I took 2 of those. Didn't work for like an hour. And then so I took 2 more, passed out all day, starting at like 7:30 a.m. So I was up all night. At certain points of the night, in between that weird dreaming thing and that first blast off thing, I was thinking, well, if there's a part of me that's awake while I'm sleeping, maybe I could try to go into lucid dreaming or something. That didn't work. I was just trying to find a way to trick my brain into going to sleep, and it wouldn't go to sleep. So, and then what was interesting was how before, yes, the other day, every single time I've had that I can't sleep and my body wakes up scared, something tells me you have to kill yourself. But this time, and it doesn't even feel like it says that, it's just this impulse. But this time it was just this voice that said, you've taken too many supplements, you need to medicate yourself. And that was the big realization today, or one of them, that there was this transition from you need to kill yourself to you need to medicate yourself. And then it kind of went, my brain sort of said, or later I was thinking about it. I was thinking it could almost be that whole paradigm is invented, so we'll medicate ourselves when we need to. But since we don't know when to medicate ourselves, it has to create this feeling of we have to kill ourselves, because then we know we have to medicate ourselves. That seemed like a bit of a stretch. But then I was like, whoa, that's kind of messed up. So then I was sort of seeing the benefit of medication in a way, like it's part of the universe. It's not really like some outside force outside the universe. It could be deadly in certain amounts, but it can also be helpful. Because I was able to sleep that whole day, and then I was up for a few hours, and then I took my regular night vitamins, 2 quetiapine, and I took 1 zopiclone instead of like 4, and I fell asleep all night. So getting that sleep has been helpful, and I think getting enough sleep all along has been helpful. So it feels almost like another layer of consciousness woke up. That whole thing where I laid down, and when I laid down, the moment I laid down, I realized I was already asleep. Like even when I was, like that whole thing was sleeping. That whole life was sleeping. And there's a whole other level. And then when that woke up, it was hard to sleep because the body's not used to sleeping when that other awareness is awake. And I don't know if this is true, but I've had that happen before when my body's fallen asleep and I've been awake. Then I eventually fall asleep, but this was different. It felt more time warpy-ish, time travel-ish, I don't know. And then something that usually happens after having some kind of crisis is I go into lower states of consciousness like guilt, blame, shame, anger, sadness. So I feel a little bits of elements of those, and I'm trying to realize that all of that is the self. So feeling guilty emphasizes the self, and trying to negate that because I'm getting a gift tonight. So it feels weird to be in this like one level of life, there's a crisis going on. One level, it's like a truce. Another level, trying to hold myself together. Another level, realizing there's no self there. Another level, I've always been dreaming, and what is this reality, and what is real, and I have no idea, and things aren't linear, and then trying to pack to go away. Like there's so much happening at the same time. And here I am walking in the woods, and I feel like one of the only ways is to negate the whole movement of the past wanting to come into the present, and just being present with what's there, not bringing the whole history in. And instead of saying or feeling guilty via bringing the self in, saying thank you. And you know what? I really don't know if I'll be able to uphold this. It's really, really challenging, especially because it's happened before. I've left for my trip, so I don't know if I'll get there, but I really hope I do. I was gonna pack a ton of stuff and maybe stay longer, but I think even if I get a little bit of stuff and get there, that's all that matters. I just need to settle into this, I think, and ponder, contemplate, be nothing. And then the other thing that gave me some hope, if you want to call it that, right, the same night that this all started happening, was a couple days ago. I wrote down a few notes from a conversation I had with this enlightened master over online, and it was before I was thrown in the hospital. He was saying, oh, it sounds spiritual, but it's good to rule out any medical condition, and he said things like, whatever arises, watch that, don't go with it. Which are wise words, considering lately I've been pondering and talking about, don't go with anything, just don't do. And let it come to you. So then I copied and pasted a few notes into my notes, and then somebody representing him said that he's coming to Vancouver in September. And it's always been on my list of things to do, just to see him and say thank you. Not really, oh, I need help or I need something, but thank you. So that could be something to continue to live towards, and moving towards spirituality, because if I get there, then hopefully I'll be off to California. And yeah, but really practicing this whole no self thing. And it's very subtle, because when there's no self, there's nothing to do, and any doing is the self. So it can almost feel like one's not doing anything, and then that feels selfish. But that's the self coming in the back door, the doer. So I'm seeing the intelligence of walking a lot. I even said in my conversation with him, I said, with regards to sort of falling out of the higher states, I said, is it because I stopped talking to myself? It's kind of funny that I was in dialogue, self-dialogue, and fell out of it. So, yeah, I don't want to pretend that the crisis is over, but if that was a crisis, usually by 3 days, it's over, and then after about a week, it's sort of more on the mend. And it could also be, I didn't say this yet, it could also be that taking the quetiapine daily, the antipsychotic daily, like mitigated the part that would arise as psychosis. Like, could it be possible that taking a bit of antipsychotic makes spirituality easier, or is almost necessary? Wouldn't that be weird? If it were like a crutch to help. What if we saw psychiatry as spiritual? What if psychiatrists thought they were helping people with their spirituality? I think they would go for that before they'd want to ixnay the whole paradigm. Because I didn't talk about that. I've been taking 50 milligrams of quetiapine, and I just had this, I would call it death. Like, that grindy energy was still there today and yesterday, but I feel that heart thing that happened, I think that just discharged a lot of energy from my heart. That's what it felt like. My heart feels lighter, but it feels wary. It feels like, am I really lighter? Or is this one of those very temporary things? So I don't want to pretend this is going to go on for very long. I really don't know. But I made a new friend who has a coffee shop, and it's handy to be able to hang out. I feel like we resonate on a lot of different levels. So, yeah, I've talked about a lot. I'm gonna keep walking. And also, like guilt and blame and shame and all that, and the self. It's all in the realm of cause and effect. The self is cause and effect, so it's staying out of cause and effect. And the you and the I, that's cause and effect. So, blame and shame is cause and effect. Blame, punishment, conflict, reward. Whereas, thank you is gratitude for what shows up, what is. I wonder if one can walk in deep gratitude for what is, what was, what will be. Something that came to me when I was feeling a little bit of that lower energy was people in other countries, they don't even have running water. They don't have sanitation or clean food or whatever. A lot of them don't have electricity or enough to eat. And I'm like whining about a self. So I'm trying to grow up a little bit. Not that any of all that's happened could be helped. It happened. It's not cause and effect. But what else can happen? I really do have all I need. All my basic needs are met. This is really strange. I was walking and I stopped because this kind of looks like a Bodhi tree leaf. It probably isn't. I think Bodhi trees are smoother. But I have some Bodhi tree leaves at home, so I might try to compare it. I don't see any Bodhi tree looking trees around here. Curious. It's a baby bunny. Hi, little guy. I didn't put my love whistle on, Bunny.
Just so I'm thinking. Hey, buddy. Hi. I found another happy face.
It's funny, I was laying here, connected to the grass, laying on my left side in a fetal position, and I said to the universe, I said, help us, universe. And then I said, co-create with us. And then I turn around and there's a smiley face in the clouds. That was after I drew the smiley face. And then I saw the smiley face on the barn. So I think the universe really is smiling at us right now. The universe painted us into existence. Our whole human beingness. So why wouldn't it be able to paint a smiley face in clouds? That seems pretty elementary compared to creating and evolving the human form. A few minutes ago, a question arose in mind, just appeared in mind. What is dialogue? And after waiting, it came to mind that dialogue is sharing one mind. Or, in summary, dialogue is sharing. And it's a little bit different than, say, telling a story where one is telling and the other is listening or receiving. One might glean bits of information from that, from one's own associations, but one isn't sharing the whole of it, per se. And then I was thinking about it in terms of how sometimes in altered states it seems that people around me play into those awful states of consciousness. In a way, they share in it, or they go into dialogue with that state of consciousness and act out that drama. So can one be in dialogue in daily life, so then the dialogue state doesn't come online only in the lower states where people are comfortable in dialogue, in that people are comfortable in carrying out conflict and drama. I'm not sure how that relates.